Hello students, let us find the range of the function fx equal to x minus 3. Let us recall range means set of values of y when x belong to domain. That means whenever we have to find out range, it is mandatory to know the domain. In this case, we can very easily say domain is equal to 3 to infinity. Now you might be wondering why 3 to infinity. Let me explain. This fx exists if and only if x minus 3 is strictly greater than, not strictly greater than equal to 0. That means square root of a 0 exists, a finite quantity or a value which is more than 0. So this would give us x is greater than equal to 3. So that means this implies x belong to 3 to infinity. Hence the domain of this function is 3 to infinity. To find range, what we have to do? We have to introduce the variable y. So y equal to square root of x minus 3, squaring both sides, y square equal to x minus 3, which will imply x equal to y square plus 3. So we know that range means set of values of y when x belong to domain. So I'll write down when x belong to domain. This implies x is greater than equal to 3. This implies y square plus 3 greater than equal to 3, which implies y square is greater than equal to 0. So y square is greater than equal to 0. This is valid for all real numbers, right? So therefore, from this we can conclude y belong to R. But by definition, you can see the definition of the function, how it is defined. Fx equal to square root of x minus 3. That means they have taken positive square root. So you should write down, but by definition, y belong to 0 to infinity. Therefore, the range of this function would be from 0 to infinity. And this is the answer to the given question. In the next question, we have to find the range of fx equal to 2 minus x square root. The domain is minus infinity to 2. Why it is so? Because here x can take the values which is less than 2 only. If you put any value more than 2, this function will not exist. Next job is to find out the range. We have introduced the new variable y, and we have come to the point that where x equal to 2 minus y square. Range means set of values of y when x belong to domain. So when x will belong to domain, x is less than equal to 2. Now I replace x by 2 minus y square, and this will give us minus y square is less than equal to 0. And this is true for all real numbers. Okay, this implies y would belong to R. But our definition says we have taken positive square root. So the same this thing we have to write down same explanation, but by definition. By definition of the function, y belong to 0 to infinity, and hence range of this function is also from 0 to infinity. In fact, you should remember one thing, whether you consider this case or you can consider the previous case. Previous case mein we had root of x minus 3. Now we have taken root of 2 minus x. That means within square root there is a linear term. So whenever there is a linear term within a square root and it is a positive square root, then the answer is 0 to infinity. Suppose there is a minus sign, there were a minus sign, एक minus sign होते इधर, minus of square root of 2 minus x, then the answer would have been minus infinity to 0, because range में y would have taken only the negative values. Hope you understand this. Next question is, we have to find the range of this function fx equal to 1 by square root of x minus 5. Straight away you can write down the domain as 5 to infinity. And in this case we cannot include 5, because if I include 5 the denominator would become 0, and 0 denominator we know that it would be undefined quantity. To find the range we have introduced the new variable y, and like in the previous case only we have reached to the point where x is equal to 5 plus 1 by y square. When x belongs to domain 5 plus 1 by y square greater than 5, that means 1 by y square is greater than 0, and this is always true for all real number. This implies y belong to R. But by definition we see that here also in the definition we have taken positive square root, also non-zero. Okay, y cannot be equal to 0, so we'll write down, by definition y should belong to 0 to infinity, hence the range is from 0 to infinity. In fact, whenever you get a function of this sort, 1 by square root of something, linear term, then the range will be 0 to infinity if it is a positive square root. If it is a negative square root, it will be minus infinity to 0, and 0 will not be included. Now we are switching over to quadratic expression. In this case, we have to find out the range. And as we already know, to find out the range, we have to find out a domain. So for domain, we will write down fx exists. Fx exists if and only if 4 minus x square greater than equal to 0. So this implies x square is less than equal to 4. So this implies x square is less than equal to 2 square. And from this, we have to take the help of famous inequality, which says, what the inequality says, if x square is less than equal to a square, this implies minus a less than equal to x less than a. So we have taken the help of this inequality. So x का जो range है, it is from minus 2 to 2. So therefore domain of this function is minus 2 to 2. So this is the required domain for this function. Y equal to square root of 4 minus x square. Squaring both sides, we get this expression which says x square equal to 4 minus y square. So when x belong to domain, this implies x square is less than equal to 4. So 4 minus y square less than equal to 4, right? But here we have to exercise our common sense a bit. You see, x का value is in between minus 2 to and 2. So y का value जो है, that is also will go maximum up to 2 only. Yes or no? Because x is small when x is 0. 4 minus 0 it is 2. Any value other than 0 for x, this value of y will be less than 2, and y will always take 0 to infinity. So we will not go by this approach. We have to do something with this one only. Here x is equal to plus minus square root of 4 minus y square. Now when x belong to domain, this implies when x belong to domain, that means this 4 minus y square has to be greater than equal to 0, because x happens to be a real number. So if this is so, y square is less than equal to 4, and this implies minus 2 less than equal to y less than equal to 2. So that means y ka range is from minus 2 to 2, but by definition y is greater than equal to 0. So therefore range of this function is 0 to 2, because maximum upper bound is put by here, lower bound is put by definition. So required range of this function is 0 to 2. Next question, find the range of fx equal to x square minus 1. So domain के लिए this x square minus 1 has to be greater than equal to 0. Okay, we are trying to find domain. So this will give us x square is greater than equal to 1 square. and here we will take the help of an inequality which says x square is greater than equal to a square. This implies x is less than equal to minus a and x is greater than equal to a. So from this inequality we can write down x is less than equal to minus 1 and x is greater than equal to 1. So therefore domain of this function is minus infinity to minus 1 bracket close union 1 to infinity. So this is the domain of this function. To find range we have to introduce this variable. Now we'll try to express x in terms of y. So therefore this will be equal to x square equal to 1 plus y square. When x belong to domain, that means x square is greater than equal to 1. This implies 1 plus y square greater than equal to 1. This implies y square is greater than equal to 0. If y square is greater than equal to 0, it is true for all real, but by definition, y belong to 0 to infinity because we have taken positive square root. Therefore, range of this function is from 0 to infinity. So this is what the answer to the question.